Hi, what's up everybody? My name is NicNik and welcome to my channel. A couple of days ago I had pre-filmed 2 videos, and after reviewing my footage it turned out that the one that I wanted to post today, which is Wednesday, December 14th, did not come out very well. There was just a lot of fuzziness, a lot of audio garble, and a lot of background noise that I don't quite know how to get rid of because I'm not that great at stuff. So what I'm doing today is I am re-recording that footage, and honestly I'm a little bit better prepared because that video was shot like late in the evening and there wasn't a whole lot of natural light coming in. It was just kind of blurry. Anyway, so the topic for that was creating a mantra for yourself. Now, a mantra is a word, phrase, or sound used in repetition to create focus. Now, a lot of people use mantras in their daily lives to get them through stressful situations like at school or at work. I came up with this idea for this video after having a particularly stressful day at work. I actually didn't have a mantra for myself until recently. Actually, when I started doing these videos, that's when I started doing it. But I got the inspiration from one of my favorite drag queens from RuPaul's Drag Race Season 6, Jinx Monsoon. Isn't she a doll? I love her. But if any of you watch that show, which I don't know how many of you do, you would remember her catchy little mantra, water off a duck's back. I recently rewatched the season and I thought that's something that I desperately need to do in my life, is to create a mantra that'll get me through some of the really tough days. But I got inspiration to create my own mantra from that, and I figured why not share this kind of thing with all of you lovely people. Mantras are very important for people who are in high stress situations all the time, like college, high school, I don't miss that shit, or high stress jobs like in the helping or caregiving field. I am in the caregiving field and I deal with stress on a daily basis. In reality, there's kinda 2 challenges today. Kinda, sorta. Of course, the first challenge, like I said, is to create a mantra for yourself. My mantra is something that stems from a childhood situation that I was in. When I was like 3, 4, 5 years old, I almost drowned. I almost died. I was at the lake with my mom, my dad, my sister, and my sister and I, we always got a little bit competitive. We decided to have a contest to see who could jump backward in the water farthest before hitting a drop-off. After we had already finished out that little competition, my stubborn ass continued to do it. Until eventually I hit the drop-off, but that drop-off was so deep that I fell hard and I fell very, very far down. Luckily, even though my mom immediately started sprinting toward me when she saw me go under, there was a friend like right on the beach right next to where I was doing this that came under the water and got me out. Whenever I think about that, all I remember is being like under the water and seeing the surface just out of reach, and I was swimming and swimming and swimming and trying my hardest to get to the surface. You might ask, why would I use such a situation that would most likely be traumatizing to a child to create a mantra? Well, I'll tell you. The best mantras, I think, come out of situations that very well could have put you over the edge. You have to be in a situation that can put you over the edge before you realize you can actually get away from the edge and keep going. So the mantra that I got from that situation was, swim to the surface. And on some of my harder days, I will repeat this to myself as a way of getting myself out of the feeling of drowning in my stress and keep on throughout the day. When you're coming up with a mantra, the best way to actually do it is to think of stuff like that. Like, think of some sort of metaphorical thing that you can say to yourself. The reason that mine fits my situation so well is because when I get into stressful situations, I often feel a tightness in my chest, and that's because I have panic disorder. My panic attacks and my stress levels often make me feel like my chest is compressed. and that I'm drowning. So when I tell myself swim to the surface, I'm telling myself you can get through this, you can get through it without killing anybody or dying or punching anyone in the face. And it just gets me through nice and scot-free. So when you think of your mantra, think of how your stress makes you feel. But say you're having a stressful day in high school. You've got projects due that you forgot to do, one of your friends is being a complete dipwit, and you just feel like everything is crumbling around you. I use the word crumbling because I'm giving this example as a metaphor. So you feel your world is crumbling around you. One mantra that you could use is keep climbing. And that way you feel like, even though you feel like you're on the edge of the world and everything is crumbling around you, if you keep climbing, you'll eventually make it to the end of the day and everything's gonna be alright. That's like my mantra, swim to the surface, gets me through any day that makes me feel like I'm literally dropping below the surface. If I keep telling myself to swim to the surface, then eventually I will reach the end of the day, I will have survived it all, and then I can mentally decompress and prepare myself for the next day. These things are not always easy. Life is extremely hard, and that's something that all of us have to accept at some point or another. When you're in your late 20s like me, this has been a reality since I was about 21 years old. When I was 18 and thought I was hot shit, I had no idea how much harder everything was gonna get. If you don't figure out how to decompress and get yourself through those situations now, when you are 18, they're gonna be so much worse for you when you're older. Trust me. Trust me on this. If I had known that all of the things that were going to happen to me in the next 10 years were going to happen to me, I would have prepared myself for that shit a long time ago. It's actually pretty sad when you think about it that until I was 26 years old, I honestly thought that I had all my shit together. I still don't have my shit together. No one has their shit together until they're like 80 years old. But when you are young, getting yourself through hard situations is going to make your life so much easier, especially when you do it by giving yourself that kind of motivation that you need. The same kind of motivation comes from our friends and our family, but sometimes the most powerful way to give yourself that motivation is to give it to yourself, because you're in your own head. You're the only one that can take those black negative thoughts and turn them into something brighter and better for you. So that's the first challenge for today, is to create a mantra for yourself that will get you through any of your stressful situations. Send those mantras to me at my social media platforms, Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, and Facebook, at this hashtag. The second challenge of today isn't necessarily a challenge, but something that I would like you guys to try and do. Now, like I said before, when I was younger, I had no idea how much more stressful my life was going to get. So I didn't prepare myself for a lot of these things, and I didn't know how to de-stress after a bad day, and eventually it led to one of the worst breakdowns I think I've ever had in my life, and I've had a few. Anyway, the second challenge for today is talking about how you de-stress after the long day, after you've gotten through that long day with your little mantra. So after you've gotten home, you've made it through the day, you're exhausted, you're tired, you're slouchy, you look like a rotten potato. How do you get yourself prepared for the next day? A lot of people I know will sit on the couch and they'll veg out on their favorite shows, or they'll just sit and read a book and stuff like that, but sometimes that isn't enough. Personally, I've always thought that doing things like that actually just kind of turns your brain off for the rest of the night. It doesn't decompress it, it just turns it off for the rest of the night until you go to work or school the next day. This, in my opinion, doesn't help when you have to go right back into the lion's den the next day. That's not fun. You hear a lot of things like you meditate and you do yoga, and these things are legitimate practices to help de-stress. I do them a lot, and it is a wonderful thing. But not everybody is into that kind of thing. So, okay, I guess the challenge for today is to tell me what you do to de-stress. And alongside how you de-stress, tell me other things that you would like to try to help with your de-stressing process. Mine, I do admit I do sit and veg out on the couch a lot, But sometimes I like to sit and meditate for a little while. It actually really helps me to just turn like all of the negative thoughts and the stressful thoughts in my head off and clean them out. I have tried to do yoga. It's not really my thing, to be honest. I mean, it's fun, but I am not Miss Flexi Grip. I cannot bend my body in those ways. I am fat. It's not gonna happen. But meditation and just releasing all of my stress into a void, that helps me a lot, especially with the job I have. I work with Alzheimer's and dementia patients, and that's a stressful job, and it takes a certain kind of person to do it. So doing something like meditation should be a given. With my job, sometimes I honestly come home feeling like I just want to quit. I don't want to go back. But in my meditations, I remember that my job's not about me. My job is about helping the people that live in the facility that I work in. But basically, I will sit and I will meditate and I will just press everything out and let it just kind of ooze out of my ears. And that honestly prepares me to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning the next day and do it all over again. It helps me to get through the kind of situations that I deal with at my job every day. I do still lose my patience sometimes, but that's where my mantra comes in. These two things together are a good stress breaker. So the second challenge is to tell me how you de-stress and things that you would like to try to de-stress. Send those also to this hashtag at my Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, and Facebook. And that's all for this video today, guys. I hope you had some time to think on these things, and I will see you next time. Remember to smile. Bye!